Thank you. Call roll, please.
Dr. Schutz? Mr. Jester?
Here.
Ms. Ronio?
Here.
Ms. John?
Here.
Mr. Sharon?
Here.
Colonel Hassenlaw?
Mr. Beecham, do we have any special guests or special recognitions tonight?
No special recognitions. As always, our guests are considered special. Extra special, yes.
Okay, architects report.
None this evening. However, I would say to you that all of the construction companies are pulling off of sites, doing the final cleanup so that we will be ready to go. They look good. They're going to serve our children well, and we're excited about you being in some open houses in the next couple of weeks. A little hard to schedule one when it's 115. The ribbon will melt before we can cut it. So.
I have one little thing about just an update because I'm unaware about the emergency that we had with MacArthur's gym, where we are with that with the roof and whatnot.
The roof portion of it is completed. The floor has been, well, if they finished, it should be completely gone by now. They'd started removing. Obviously, the bleachers are out of there, and the painting has been bid, and I believe the painting bid is in your agenda this evening. The only delay so far has been that the company that makes the bleachers cannot produce them and get them to us for about the middle of September, late September. Everything else is going just as planned. The floor will be in. We are going to paint the entire interior of the gymnasium, which needed to be done, and I hate to get it this way, but it had to be done. It's one way to get it done. I do think we're probably looking at maybe before we're fully functional there, a date around the first day of October. That part hopefully will be in business, and it's just, it happened at such an odd time. They were already obligated for so much to get school going. Their summer projects were already planned, and ours was came in right at the end, and we were at the end of the production list. So we will be looking to get in there as quickly as possible, but it is going to be around October before that happens instead.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Departmental report.
None this evening. Thank you.
Your report then.
Actually, under 7A, with the information regarding MacArthur High School and the other buildings would all be under there. We are looking currently at the remaining, what money is remaining for bonds or from bonds as we start to look at finalizing the projects that can be done with that. We're also looking, I talked with the Office of Economic Adjustment today on our grant for the school at Fort Sill. They need one more letter. And so and it's got to be written by a state official that has the clout to make the statements they need made. So I will basically be trying to work with either the governor's office or the state treasurer or someone in the next couple of days. Hopefully can have it by the first part of next week and get it submitted to them. They meet next week, and we will. We're in the queue, as they say. We're ready to go. It's just getting that last I dotted, and hopefully we can be there very soon. But anticipation today was that we would have complete approval by the end of August. Heard that one before, but I do think we're getting down to that point, and I do think the people that we're talking with in the Office of Economic Adjustment are trying to make sure that when we do present, or this is presented in entirety to the committee, that they have got it together so tight that it's just going to be a formality to move it. And that's what we want, even if we have to wait an additional 30 days. I had hoped to be able to tell you tonight, because originally the date had been August 1st, but I'd be glad to give them 30 days if they can wrap a nice bow on that package and bring it to us in entirety. And the decision that is pending, the letter that is pending, has to do with a waiver that we need, because since they are willing to give us more money than we're able to match the 20% on, we're going to ask them to give us a waiver and still give us all the money, even though we're only going to have about 18.2% matching. So we need a waiver, and they need to know that the state doesn't have any money to give us and doesn't fund schools. And so that's what I've got to secure, and I'll work on that the next couple of days. Item 7B, consideration and action concerning the sale of Country Club Elementary. I do have a proposal to bring to you. However, the appraisal group that was appraising the building did not give us the legal document. They only sent us a letter telling us what the appraisal would be in dollars and cents. That's great to know, but the way the statute is written, we have to have the appraisal in hand before we can move forward making the recommendation. Therefore, what I'd ask you to do is just table that until the 16th again. They're assuring Mr. Wade that they can have that to us no later than the end of next week, which is plenty of time for the next meeting, and then we can move. Don't want any hiccups when we do it. We want to do it right. So I would ask you to table this one more time.
I move to table this one more time.
Second.
Call roll, please.
Ms. Ronio,
Yes.
Ms. John,
Yes.
Mr. Sharon,
Yes.
Mr. Jester.
Yes.
Thank you very much, and that's all I have under the superintendent's report this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Beecham. The consent agenda, are there any items that we need to remove from the consent agenda?
Actually, I would like for you to, well, let me let you approve it, and we can't discuss it till there's a motion to approve it.
Move for approval.
Second.
Second.
Call roll, please.
Starting to worry.
Ms. Ronio.
Don't call the roll yet, because I need to discuss this with them real quick.
Okay.
Two things I want to point out. If you will notice on page 10 of your agenda, there is a proposal for replacing the radios in the school district. There's new federal regulations from the FCC that require us to change the band we operate on. And it's not just us, it's across the board being able to do that. That means every bus and every radio and every bus we have, every handheld that we use in our schools, all of those radios have to be replaced with a new radio. And the reason they have to be replaced is they're so old they can't upgrade them. I think we have about a half a dozen in the district out of about 140 that we own that can be upgraded. The others have to be replaced. It's a big amount of money, but it's one that we really don't have an option on, and I just simply need for you to know that we wouldn't be doing this unless there was a requirement for us to do this, and we didn't think it would impact our safety if we didn't do it. So the other item I would like to discuss with you is that we are proposing in the bid or in the agenda to buy some buses. They're on pages 12 and 13. Those buses, there are two sets of them. One set of buses are for activity buses, and we were not recommending any approval of that this evening. We would ask you to decline those bids so they can be rebid, because we feel like our specs while all three companies met the specs didn't reflect what we really wanted to do. So we don't want to end up buying something we really didn't want just because our specs were not appropriately written. So we need to pull that, and we will get that rewritten and rebid. Item number 2, however, is we are buying 6 more buses with the sales tax money, and they should be in the fleet in the next 30 days. So we're excited about getting the opportunity to, again, upgrade our fleet. And Mrs. Brandstetter and I are working budget numbers right now, and it appears as though we may be able to buy another couple of those regular buses in the next month because of increased collections. So some good things going on.
Sounds like we may need to modify our motion.
Actually, you do. You need to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item 1 on page 13.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item number 1 on page 13.
And that needs to be a motion to replace the motion that was already on the floor by Robert's rules. Is that right? Substitute motion. Okay.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Call roll, please.
Ms. Ronio,
Yes.
Mr. Sharon,
Yes.
Ms. John,
Yes.
Mr. Jester.
Yes, thank you. We have a proposed executive session this evening.
We do, yes, we do need one.
We do need one.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. John,
Yes.
Ms. Ronio,
Yes.
Mr. Sharam,
Yes.
Mr. Chester.
Yes.
Return to a normal session? To return from executive session?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Romeo,
Yes.
Ms. John,
Yes.
Mr. Sharon,
Yes.
Mr. Jester.
Yes. I'd like to read the statement of executive session. The Board of Education went into executive session at 5:11 p.m. Members present included Kent Jester, Vice President, Donna Ronio, member, Helena John, member, Eric Sharon, member. Items discussed included authorized by 25 OS Section 307B1 of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act, the employing, promoting, or receiving resignations of individual certified and support salaried personnel listed on pages 63 through 64, so the board can return to open session and vote to take action on the personnel transactions listed on those pages of the agenda. The selection of assistant principal for Central Middle School, the selection of secondary special education coordinator. During the executive session, the board discussed these items and no other items, and no action was taken. The board returned to open session at 5:40 p.m. This constitutes the minutes of the executive session. Do you have a recommendation, Mr. Beecham?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Jester. Under item 13A this evening, I would ask you to vote to approve the employing, promoting, disciplining, and receiving of resignations of individual certified and support salaried personnel listed on pages 63 and 64.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Romeo,
Yes.
Mr. Sharon,
Yes.
Mr. Jester,
Yes.
Ms. John.
Yes.
Under item 13B, I would ask you to approve the selection of Mr. Blake Thomas as the assistant principal at Central Middle School.
Move for approval.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Romeo,
Yes.
Ms. John,
Yes.
Mr. Sharon,
Yes.
Mr. Jester.
Yes.
Under item 13C, I would ask you to approve the selection of Mr. Chris Sharkey as the secondary special ed coordinator.
Move for approval.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. John,
Yes.
Mr. Sharon,
Yes.
Ms. Romeo,
Yes.
Mr. Jester.
Yes.
And that's all I have for you this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Beecham. Do we have any new business to consider tonight? Okay, our next board meeting date is set for Thursday, August 16th, here at City Hall Auditorium. Do we need to consider any action concerning other board meeting dates?
Not at this time.
Okay. Any board announcements?
I would want to remind parents that starting next week, we will have check-in days for our students at the schools that they have enrolled in. If they're not enrolled, they need to go to the enrollment center for enrollment purposes. But if they have previously enrolled or attended school, they can check in at their buildings. Those dates will be published in the paper this weekend, and they are also on all the marquees at all the schools. So we will start on Monday, ramping back up for a new school year.
And the LPS website.
And the OPS website. Yes, thank you. Yes.
Okay, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. John,
Yes.
Mr. Sharon,
Yes.
Ms. Romeo,
Yes.
Mr. Jester.
Yes. Thank you all.